We're going to be taking a cross-country Appalachian trip along US 19. Come on, let's go. Alright everyone, the highway that I've been teasing for a little while now, I am finally doing it. We're going to be doing US Highway 19 northbound, along with US 19E. US 19 is a beautiful road as it travels from Florida all the way up to Pennsylvania, and it does have some pretty awesome scenery. But the control cities seem to contrast from the scenery as they also get very horrible. And oh boy, do we have something to talk about that Kirby. So let us get started with this cool and awesome highway. But first, you're watching the TheDerpHog, where I make highways content on all sorts of different topics. If you've been enjoying it, be sure to hit that like button. And if you've been really enjoying it, be sure to smash that subscribe button so you're notified on all future videos. And if you really want to help out the channel, become a member today where you get custom cool emojis, early access to future videos, along with one free extra request per month. And if you don't want to become a member, you can always just pay $3 for a intersection request in future videos. Those highways will be listed down in the description below, and I'll make sure to shout you out when that video releases. So let's get on with the highway. As we can see here, this is the map of US Highway 19 as it runs from a junction with US 41 just south of Tampa, all the way up to a junction with US Highway 20 in Erie, Pennsylvania. And this blue dot here is the part of the route that I've been on personally. So with that, we're talking about US 19 northbound. So we begin here on US 41 itself, where US 19 is now signed for St. Pete, while US 41 is getting signed for Tampa. And yes, both routes technically take you to Interstate 275, but FDOT is favoring US 19 here. And if you want to check out a video on US 41, it's in the top right corner here. So we get our first mileage sign here on US Highway 19, and we get Perry from 214 miles away. I don't know how I feel about this mileage sign. On one hand, it's pretty cool to be seeing Perry from sign from 214 miles away. But on the other hand, Perry is not like an actual big city. It's just a town in northern Florida. It's not like Miami or Jacksonville or Tampa. It's not like any of those places, so you don't really need it to be signed from 214 miles away. Maybe 100 or something would be actually a bit better. Here we are joining with Interstate 275, and 275 and US 19 are going to have a concurrency as they cross over the Tampa Bay. And here on the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, we can actually see the view of St. Pete from here, so that's pretty awesome. And here in downtown St. Pete, US 19 is splitting off from Interstate 275 as we're now signed for St. Pete Beach. And here we meet the alternate route of US Highway 19 here in St. Pete. And we're going to be staying on US 19 here to head through downtown and other suburbs. And then here in the suburbs, we're meeting with Florida Highway 60. And I also want to shout out to my friend Drew, who has his own exit here in the suburbs of St. Pete and Tampa. But let us see what we're signed for on US Highway 60. We're getting signed for Tarpon Springs, which, I mean, it's an alright suburb. You can sign it for US 19. And in our next mileage time, we get Spring Hill as our primary from 30 miles away. I mean, that's alright too. And it looks like that the 30 might have covered up another distance. I wonder what it was before. And then we get another mileage sign later up the road, and we still get Spring Hill as our primary from 19 miles away. And here, just south of Spring Hill, we're meeting with the alternate route of US Highway 19. And US 19 is going to be continuing north towards almost South Springs, Chiefland, and Perry. Oh, come on! Here's where I'm gonna have to give FDOT another F. Weeki is an unincorporated community with only 16 people. So why in the world is FDOT signing it? Is it because we're meeting Florida Highway 50 there? In that case, why not just sign something on Florida Highway 50 like Orlando instead of Weeki Wachee? Orlando's a city compared to Weeki Wachee. Replace that Weeki Wachee F dot. Here in Weeki Wachee, we meet with Florida Highway 50 and it's getting signed for Brooksville and Orlando, which are great choices. And the next mileage time we get Crystal River as our primary from 27 miles away. That is a good choice. It has roughly 5,000 people. And this is actually a pretty strange sign. I did not know that bears actually inhabited Florida. I thought it was too warm for them. Interesting. And here we meet US Highway 98, and 98 is getting signed for Brooksville, while the county route on the other side of the street is getting signed for Chesapeake. And the next mileage time we get Ingles as our primary from 24 miles away. Prefer to see Chiefland instead. For our next mileage time we get Chiefland as our primary from 45 miles away, right behind these US 19 and 98 shields. And then once we get closer, once we pass through Ingles, we get another mileage time, and Perry comes back from 104 miles away. Yay! And then here in Chiefland, we're actually meeting with US Highway 129, and it's being signed for Trenton, Live Oak, and Gainesville. I mean, Gainesville is a good choice as a control city for 129, but as a Florida State fan, I do not like it seeing there, because that's where the stupid swamp puppies live. For our next mileage time, we get Cross City as our secondary, and Perry still as our primary from 58 miles away. Yay! And here in Perry, we're meeting with the US 221, and 221 Southern Terminus here is in this town of Perry. And here's where US 98 splits off from us, and we are now picking up US Highway 27, as 27 and 19 are now going to be heading towards Tallahassee. And let us take a look at these shields here, because there is something misleading about it. For one thing, US 221 is actually not concurrent with us, so I wonder if FDOT's meaning like a truck route or a bypass route or a business route of US 221. Because that 221 shield should not be there. And our next mileage time we get Interstate 10 as our top line, and then Tallahassee is our primary from 51 miles away. So they're actually favoring US 27 here, and that is awesome. And here is where we split off from US Highway 27 as we're now heading towards Interstate 10. And if you want to check out a cool video on US Highway 27, our series, it's in the top right corner here. And then our next mileage time we get Thomasville from 33 miles away, so that's awesome. Oh boy, here we meet Interstate 10 and it's being signed for Lake City as eastbound. No, Lake City is a crumb compared to Jacksonville, so why aren't you signing Jacksonville, FDOT? Sign it! And here on Interstate 10, we are now getting signed for still Monticello and Thomasville. And here in Monticello, we're actually meeting with US Highway 90 at this roundabout here in front of this courthouse. And then, since there's really nothing much left in Florida, we just get a one-liner with just Thomasville from 21 miles away. And Thomasville is actually in Georgia. And yay, we're now entering into Georgia for the 90 billionth time this season. Woohoo! And our first mileage time we get Ocklawahnee from 25 miles away. No, why can't you just sign something on 84 or Albany? Because no one's heard of Ocklawahnee. And I'm pretty sure it's way smaller than like Albany or a place that US 84 goes to. Just not, please don't sign it. And then here in Thomasville, we're meeting with US 84. And we're going to become current with it as we head around the city of Thomasville. I am totally confused by this. I'm guessing that whoever worked at GDOT and put this mileage sign together does not know how to order numbers correctly, because I know 22 is way smaller than 58, but for some reason Pelham is our primary for some random reason. I kinda see that Albany is our true primary, but why isn't it on the bottom of this mileage sign? GDOT, you need to call someone out here to fix this, please. And then here we split off from US Highway 84, as we're now assigned for Albany. And we also meet one of our children here, US 319, and it's getting signed for Tallahassee. Awesome.
Definitely do not like is after leaving that intersection, we get this one-line mileage sign with Pelham on it, 25 miles away. No.
And you actually also missed this mileage sign here in the distance, so let us see what it is on it. Hey, we get Albany as our primary from 57 miles away. Good job, GDOT. And outside of Albany, we actually passed by a Church of Christ, named after US Highway 19. So this is the second building that I have seen that's numbered after US highways. We first had US 63 Realty up in Wisconsin, and now we have a Church of Christ named after US Highway 19. It's a place that I might check out if I'm ever in the Albany, Georgia area. And then here we meet with US Highway 82, and Georgia 300 splits off from us as it's the gang sign for Atlanta and Cordele. But here's the cool thing, we split off from US 82 and we're now getting assigned for Atlanta. Atlanta, wow! And the next mileage sign we get Atlanta from 168 miles away. That is awesome, GDOT. And here outside of Americas, we're meeting with US Highway 280, and 280 and 19 are going to have a concurrency here. And on the next mileage sign, we get Ellettville as our top line, and then we get Cordele as our primary from 32 miles away. Personally, they're actually favoring US 280 here, but Cordele is still a pretty big town. It's where 280 meets 41, and there's a train museum there. And this is where US 280 splits off from US 19, as US 19 is going to be heading towards like places like Griffin, Zebulon, and Atlanta. Oh. GDOT, why do you always have to do this? Buena Vista is not even on US 19. It's actually, I think, on Georgia Highway 26. Why can't you just sign something on US 19 itself? US 19 does not go to Buena Vista. And then when we get closer, we get Butler as a one-liner here. No, there should be Griffin or Atlanta too, not just Butler. Butler's a tiny town. But once we pass through Butler, we get another mileage sign, and we finally get Griffin as our primary from 55 miles away. Where was it 2 mileage signs ago? And then out in the middle of nowhere, we're meeting with US Highway 80, and we're meeting concurrent with it as we head through some small town. And here's where US 80 splits off from us, as US 80 is now continuing east towards Macon. US 19 is going to be continuing north towards Atlanta. And here we get another 3-liner, and Atlanta comes back, and it is our primary from 79 miles away. And here in Thomaston, we actually have cool information shields on this pole here. We get 19 assigned north towards Zebulon and Atlanta. And can you please tell me something? When did we come to North Carolina? Because Zebulon is actually northeast of Atlanta. So technically this is correct. Oh wait, they're talking about Zebulon, Georgia. Oh, come on. And then here in Griffin, we're meeting with US Highway 41, and we're going to become concurrent with it. And normally I would skip this kind of concurrency, but I do want to show a couple of things that I did miss when I originally did my US 41 video. First of all, we get this really horrible mileage sign. GDOT is like telling us, hey, how do you want your control cities? Do you want them sunny side up? Because they're putting Sunnyside and Hamden as our control cities. What happened to Atlanta? It should be Atlanta or a suburb of Atlanta. Just move Hampton to a top line and then put a suburb of Atlanta here. No need for Sunnyside. And plus, I already just had some eggs, so I do not need any more. Anyways, on the outskirts of Atlanta, we're meeting with Interstate 285. And we're going to be heading into the city here. And then here we are meeting Interstate 20. And we have no direct interchange with it, but for some random reason, the US 19 and 41 shields are missing here, and we just get Georgia Route 3 shield. Strange. And then, even though Interstate 20 has no direct interchange with it, we do have a direct interchange with US 29. And on that exit, we have US 19 being signed for some random reason. And then here in downtown Atlanta, we get this US 278 error once again. It's pretty funny. And then here on Interstate 75 and 85, US 19 is actually meeting these two highways. And we're getting signed for Spring Street and West Peachtree Street. Interesting. Also, this picture is my own picture. And here's a cool view of downtown Atlanta as US 19 is going to be heading into downtown. And when I went through here a couple weeks ago, oh boy do I have a lot of pictures of downtown Atlanta. But I'm going to be showing that in my own Interstate 20 video soon. And here you can see that US 19 is actually passing over Interstate 85 here on the Peachtree Street Bridge. And that is a pretty cool bridge too. And then on the north side of the city, we're meeting with Interstate 285. And since they redid this interchange, US 19 does not have a concurrency with Interstate 285 anymore. Instead, it has its own distributor ramp to exit off of Interstate 285 a mile up the road. And here we are meeting with Georgia Highway 400, and we're going to become concurrent with it as we're now signed for Cumming. Alright. And then here we get another mileage sign just north of Atlanta, and we get Dahlonega as our primary from 20 miles away. That's alright. And why does this US 19 shield have different font than the Georgia 400 one? I can see that Georgia does like favoring state routes. And then when we get closer to Dahlonega, we actually get LJ now as our primary from 44 miles away. And once again, GDOT is actually favoring a state highway here. But this is actually a good instance because even LJ is only slightly bigger than Blairsville, but I do not want to see Blairsville, so LJ is actually a better choice here. And here we are meeting Georgia Highway 60 and Georgia 52, and we're now signed for Blairsville. No, if you want to sign something, sign Murphy, not Blairsville. And then next mileage time we get Suches as our top line at 60 miles away, and Blairsville is our primary from 36 miles away. No, there should be a three-liner here with Murphy, North Carolina as our primary. And then in the middle of nowhere in the Appalachian Mountains, we're actually meeting with US Highway 129 once again. And we're going to become concurrent with it as we head towards Blairsville. And then, yay, we get Murphy as our primary once we join with US 129. Here in Blairsville, we're actually meeting with US Highway 76. And we're going to be concurrent with 76 westbound here. And here's this stunning view in Blairsville. That is just some dive for scenery. And here we also have 6 highways here. Here is where US 19 and 129 splits off from US 76. And we can see here that G-Dot is making another error. And you know what's stupid about this one? The correct shield is literally right up here. So why can't they just do it on the ground too? But at least we get Murphy as our control city, so that's awesome. And then here we get a one-liner with just Murphy, North Carolina from 22 miles away. And then we're now entering into the state of North Carolina. Oh boy. But hey, NC does give us some pretty awesome scenery once we meet US 64 and 74. And we're getting signed for Asheville. That's awesome, NC Dot. Yes. Here's where NC Dot likes to be NC Dot. US 64 is splitting off from us and it's in sign east for Hayesville. Hayesville only has 300 and something people. This should definitely be Franklin, not Hayesville. Why did I not point this out in my US 64 video? And this is where US 129 splits off from us, so it's getting signed for Knoxville. Wow, that is awesome. But we're getting signed for Bryson City. If we can sign Knoxville for 129, why can't we sign Asheville for 74 and 19? NC Dot. And our next mileage time, we actually get Cherokee as our primary from 33 miles away. No, that should be Asheville. That should be Bryson City, Cherokee, and Asheville. And here we get another mileage time. We get Asheville as our primary from 66 miles away. But you know what the weird thing about this mileage time is? US 19 is actually splitting off from US 74. So that's actually a control for 74. We're getting signed for Bryson City and Cherokee. You know, the two towns that were listed on that last mileage sign with 74 concurrency. And here we get a cool Blue Ridge Parkway shield here. And then here we are meeting with US Highway 441, and we're literally going to have like a 1,500 foot concurrency with it. And this is where US 441 splits off from US 19, as US 441 is going to continue meandering through the mountains and into the state of Tennessee. And then here's a cool view of the Blue Ridge Parkway, or the intersection with it. We're now meeting with it outside of Maggie Valley, and 276 and 19 are become concurrent with it here. And oh boy, it looks like NC Dot has followed in pursuit with F Dot and is giving us false information. US 19 is actually continuing straight here, while US 76 is going to be turning to the south. So I don't know why NC Dot is giving us a 19 north shield with a 276 south shield. Anyways, if we continue straight on US 19, we're actually merging into US 74 and US 23. And if you want to check out a video on US 23, it's in the top right corner here. I collabed with the Xavier 456 on it. And here's where US 19 and 23 splits off from US 74, as 74 gets the good control cities of Asheville and Knoxville, while we get signed for Clyde and Canton. We have an intersection request made by Andrew DeVore. He wanted to see this Kubota store off of US 19 and 23 here in Chandler, North Carolina. He said that this road here was the old alignment of US 19 and 23, and is also the nearest intersection to the place that he lives in here in Chandler, so thanks for the request. And then just outside of Asheville, we're meeting with Interstate 40, and like I said in my 23 video, I'm glad we don't have any control cities for 40. And here we are about to merge into Interstate 240, and we're going to become concurrent with it as we're now signed for Weaverville. Once Interstate 26 becomes an interstate here, this should definitely be Johnson City, not Weaverville. And then this is where we're going to be joining with future Interstate 26, that we're still signed for Weaverville. And here's the exit for Weaverville, and just 25 and 70 are actually going to be splitting off from us as they head towards Marshall. And then further up the road on Interstate 26, US 19 splits off from Interstate 26 and US 23, as we're now signed for Burnsville and Spruce Pine. And this is where US 19 now splits off into E and W. In the southbound video, we're going to be talking about W, but we're going to be staying straight here on 19E for northbound. And then here on US 19E, we actually get a pretty awesome view of Mount Mitchell, which is one of these mountains in the background here. And Mount Mitchell is actually the highest point here in the state of North Carolina. Oh boy, this is where NC Dot likes to become NC Dot, because we're now getting signed for Cranberry. You don't know what Cranberry is? It's an unincorporated community. No, that should be Elk Park or Elizabethton, not Cranberry. Plus, I did not tell NC Dot to bring the cranberry sauce to Thanksgiving. Why are they bringing it? And here we meet North Carolina Highway 194, and we're getting signed for Roan Mountain and Elk Park. Yes, and it should not be Cranberry. And here's where 194 splits off from us, and we're getting signed for Elk Park. And here in Elk Park, we actually passed by this really cool restaurant, and it looks like it's a train-themed restaurant. So, hey, train enthusiast, I recommend checking out this place. Or we get a mileage sign here, and we get Elk Park from 1 mile away, and Roan Mountain as our primary. Even though Roan Mountain is in Tennessee, I do not like to see it from only 6 miles away. That should be Roan Mountain and Elizabethton, or you could do a 3-liner here. But still, no need for Elk Park. And a ways up the road, we're now entering into the state of Tennessee. Oh boy. A mileage sign in Tennessee? Wow! We get Roan Mountain as our top line and Elizabethton as our primary from 20 miles away. If T-Dot can sign it, why can't NC-Dot? And then for up the road, we just get a 1-liner here with just Elizabethton as our primary from 16 miles away. And here we meet with Tennessee Highway 67 and US 321 here. And this is where US 321 splits off from US 19E, as 321 is getting signed for Johnson City. And we're getting signed for Bristol. This is an all-around great intersection. Hey! Yay! It's snow! I can see snow! Woohoo! Still in the snow scenery, we're meeting with US 11E, and we become concurrent with it as we're now heading toward Bristol. And then outside of Bristol, we're reuniting with our good old friend of US Highway 421. And we're going to be concurrent with it as we head through downtown Bristol. And here we are entering into the state of Virginia, along with this cool Bristol plaque here. And then here in some more snow scenery, we're actually meeting Interstate 381, which will take you over to Interstate 81. And this is where US 11 merges back into just regular US 11. And if you want to check out a video on US 11, it's in the top right corner here. Here in Abingdon, we're splitting off from US Highway 11, and we're getting signed for Hansonville and Bluefield. So that's good choices. And apparently US 19 has left the chat and just left US 58 alternate here. And we're getting signed for Bluefield from 78 miles away. And this is where US 58 alternate leaves us, as US 19 is going to be continuing towards Bluefield. And we can also see that there's a mileage sign in the distance over here. And we get Bluefield still as our primary from 66 miles away. And then here, outside of Tazewell, we're meeting with US Highway 460, and we're going to be concurrent with it as we head towards Bluefield. And the next mileage time we get Tazewell from 16 miles away, and Bluefield as our primary, still. And then here is an odd thing. We are concurrent with US 460, and we have become a freeway portion here. But for some random reason, we have exit 1 when we're way far north of the Virginia border, so I have no idea why this is numbered exit 1. Alright, Yellowstone National Park is located in Virginia. And then here we get another mileage sign. We can Roanoke as our primary from 122 miles away. Wow, VDOT, this is awesome. Woohoo! And this is where US 19 splits off from US 460. And once again, we just get an exit 1 here. So, again, what is weird? What is up with these weird numbers? And then it goes up the road, we're now entering into the state of West Virginia, and it's signed for Mercer County. And here's another thing that Quartermonge pointed out in his US 19 series. This Dairy Queen here in Bluefield. It looks like it's an older Dairy Queen, and there's not any seating, so interesting. I wonder where the seating is. Maybe just eat in your car or something? And then here we also meet US Highway 52, and US 52 actually passes by Bluefield State University. And here's that meeting with US Highway 52. And this is where US 52 splits off from US 19 in front of this train here. So I guess whoever's driving that train gets to see this junction every time. And then we reunite with US Highway 460, and we're going to become current with it once again. And the next mileage time we get Petersburg, Virginia as our primary from 35 miles away. What happened to Roanoke? And this is where we split off from US Highway 460 for good. And we're getting assigned for Princeton and Courthouse Road. What are you, Virginia 208? And here in Princeton, we actually pass by this really cool courthouse here. And outside of Princeton, we're now getting signed for Beckley, so that's a good choice. And we're now meeting Interstate 77, which it gets signed for Beckley and Bluefield. No, Beckley should stay here on US 19, while 77 should get signed for Charleston. But let us see what we're signed for on Interstate 77. Are you kidding me? Why in the world are being signed for Camp Creek? That's literally a state park in an unincorporated community. That should be Beckley. Also, this is my own picture of US 19 on 77. And here we are going under Interstate 64, and that is one tall bridge. And here's my own picture of US 19 off the West Virginia Turnpike. And we're now getting signed for North Beckley and Summersville. And here we get our primary of Summersville when we meet West Virginia 16. And our next mileage time we get Fayetteville as our primary from 16 miles away. What's happened to Summersville? Also, when did we come to North Carolina? And then here is a pretty tall bridge. We're crossing over the New River here, and wow, this is giving me vertigo. I would not want to drive over this bridge. And here we meet US Highway 60 in the middle of nowhere, and it gets really bad control cities, and we're still signed north for Summersville. Here we meet West Virginia 39 in the middle of Summersville, and let us see what this mileage sign here is. We're getting signed for Clarksburg now as our primary from 92 miles away. Whoa. And here we are meeting Interstate 79. It's getting signed south for Charleston, which is a great choice. While 79 north, it is getting signed for Clarksburg. No, if you want to do something for both 19 and 79, how about throw up Morgantown or Pittsburgh there instead of just Clarksburg? But of course, West Virginia likes to sign Clarksburg on Interstate 79, and it's our primary from 63 miles away. No, that should have Morgantown as our primary, not Clarksburg. And this is where US 19 splits off from Interstate 79 as it's getting now signed for Flatwoods. No, 19 should be signed for Clarksburg, while 79 gets signed for Morgantown or Pittsburgh. For our next mileage time, we get Weston as our primary from 42 miles away. I mean, Weston's a okay choice, but I prefer to see Clarksburg. And now we're meeting Interstate 79 once again in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia. And then here in Weston, we're actually meeting with US 119 and US 33. And we're going to have a concurrency with it as we head through downtown. And here's where US 33 and US 119 splits off from us. And here's the weird thing about it. US 48 is actually a couple miles east of this intersection. So if I was West Virginia, I'd actually put a 2 US 48 shield here, just in case if anyone wants to travel US 48. And now we're meeting with US Highway 50 in the middle of Clarksburg, and US 50 is getting signed west for Parkersburg and east for Bridgeport. And we're now splitting off from West Virginia Highway 20 as we were concurrent with it for who knows how long. And we're now meeting US Highway 250 in Fairmont. And guess what US 250 is? Hey, I know this highway. US Highway 250 is a 514-mile route as it runs from Sandusky, Ohio, all the way down to Richmond, Virginia. It is one of 4 children of US Highway 50, and it is also an important route linking Lake Erie all the way down to the city of Richmond, Virginia. And along its route, it passes through some beautiful scenery in the state of West Virginia, and it also meets important highways like US 19 and 220 and 20 and other highways. So that is a little bit about US Highway 50, and let's get back to US Highway 19. Here's where US 250 splits off from us, as now we're going to be heading towards Morgantown. And then just outside of Morgantown, we're meeting with Interstate 79 once again, and it's now getting signed north for Washington, PA. No, that should be Pittsburgh. And here we are crossing over the Monongahela River. I don't think I pronounced that correctly. Here we are crossing over the whatchamacallit river on the Joseph C. Bartolio Memorial Bridge. And then we are crossing over the Monongahela River, Monongahela River, Monongahela River. Let's try this again. We're crossing over the Monongahela River. Oh, I messed it up again. Come on, me. Alright, this is the final try. We're crossing over the Monongahela River here in Morgantown, and we also get a very cool view of Morgantown. Okay, this is it, the actual final try. Here we are crossing over the Monongahela River in Morgantown. Alright, this is the official last time. Here we are in Morgantown, about to cross the Monongahela River here. And then here we are meeting with US Highway 119 once again, along with West Virginia 7. And if you turn on to US 119 South, it'll take you over to Interstate 68. And here's a side road that will take you over to Interstate 79, and it's getting signed for Fairmont and Washington, PA. No, that should be Charleston and Pittsburgh, not Washington and Fairmont. And here's where West Virginia 7 splits off from us, and for some random reason, West Virginia is not giving us any control cities here, so we're just gonna have to go into it blindly. And then further up the road, we're now entering into our last state, Pennsylvania. Oh boy. In our first town in Pennsylvania, we actually go through the town of Mount Morris, and we have a road that'll take you over to Interstate 79. And on the other side of town, we meet another road that'll take you probably over to Interstate 79 once again. And it gets control cities of Davistown and Bobtown. I wonder what we're signed for.
What?
Excuse me, as I need to go let out some feelings, elsewhere. I want to talk about this for a second. Can I ask you guys one question? Do y'all want to know what Kirby is? Well, let me tell you something. It's just a bunch of random buildings in the middle of nowhere. It's like PennDOT just decided to pick a random place on a map and decides to sign it for US 19. Well, I'm pretty sure that even NC-DOT doesn't even do this. Like, this is like if NC-DOT decided to sign Moncure on US 1 instead of Sanford. Well, newsflash, they do not. This is literally a stupid and idiotic direction sign here. No one is going to Kirby, and you know what's even in Kirby? It's just one road that'll take you back over Interstate 79. Well, if you wanted to get onto Interstate 79, you literally had your chance like twice here in Mount Morris. So, who's going to be taking US 19 5 miles up the road to get onto some county route that'll take you back over Interstate 79? This is literally the most stupid and idiotic mileage sign ever, PennDOT.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Seriously, why did you think of this? Anyways, continuing on, just outside of Waynesburg, which should have been on that direction sign, we are meeting with Pennsylvania Highway 21, and since we're not in downtown yet, we get it from 1 mile away. And here's where we split off from Pennsylvania Highway 21, as US 19 is now going to be heading north towards Washington and Pittsburgh. Here we are meeting Pennsylvania Highway 221, and we're now getting signed for Washington, which is the correct choice. And here just outside of Washington in Laboratory, we're meeting with US Highway 40, and US 40 and 19 are going to have a concurrency here. And this is where US 19 splits off from US Highway 40, as US 19 is now going to be heading north towards Pittsburgh. And then just outside of Pittsburgh, we're meeting with Interstate 70 and 79. It has 3 good control cities, and we do not talk about New Stanton. Hey, look, at that, we meet Pennsylvania Highway 519. That's not a coincidence. And here is where US 19 becomes its truck route or regular route, and we're going to be following the regular route here. And this is where US 19 merges into Interstates 376, US 22, and US Highway 30. And we literally have a ridiculously short concurrency with it, as US 19 is now going to be splitting off from 376, as we're now signed for West End, and that 376 is signed east from Monroeville. No, that should be Harrisburg. Here we are crossing over the Ohio River on the West End Bridge, and this bridge looks exactly a lot like the one like in Charleston that 64 and 77 used to cross that river down there. And here you are meeting with Pennsylvania Highway 65, and we can concurrent with it, and we just have a whole bunch of Kentucky treatments. Well, I kinda get it because we are in the middle of Pittsburgh. What are you gonna sign? What else are you gonna sign? But here's where we split off from Pennsylvania Highway 65, and the Kentucky treatment is not good here. We should see some actual control cities here. And then here we are going over Interstate 279, and we can see that there's an exit for US Highway 19, and it just gets the Kentucky treatment. I do not like that. And here we are going over under the Pennsylvania Turnpike and Interstate 79 too. And here is the actual interchange with the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and we're not again. Why are we getting signed for Cranberry? Hey PennDOT, how about instead of US 19 bringing the cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving, how about they bring their friend Zelianopple instead? But here in Cranberry, we're actually getting signed north for Zelianopple, which is a good choice. And then here is downtown Zelianopple, and we're meeting with Pennsylvania 288 and 588 here. And then for up the road, we're now getting signed for Mercer from 32 miles away. Hey, that's bringing me Interstate 80 and US 62. And then here we are, US Highway 422, just outside of Portersville. And then here we get another mileage time. We get Mercer as our primary still from 19 miles away. And I believe this is like the second or third time where I've seen the primary being the same distance as the highway that we're doing. And what? Interstate 80 is coming up soon. I'm pretty sure it's not that bad. And oh my, what are these control cities? We're getting signed for Clarion and Sheridan. What? Why not New York City and Youngstown or Cleveland? I've never heard of these places. PennDOT, why are you butchering Interstate 80? It's like your longest XO interstate. Why? Here we are meeting US Highway 62 and Pennsylvania's 58 and 258. And if you want to check out a video on US 62, it's in the top right corner here. It actually released around this same time last year, so that's pretty awesome. And then this is where US 62 splits off from us, as we're now getting signed for Meadville, and 62 is getting signed north for Franklin, which are good choices. And then our next mileage time we get Cheeklyville on the top line, and Meadville is now our primary still at 32 miles away. And then further up the road, we actually get Meadville now as our primary from 8 miles away, and PennDOT is actually being good. We're getting signed for Erie from 47 miles away. Wow, this is actually a rare PennDOT W here. And then outside of Meadville, we're meeting with US 322 and US Highway 6. Hey. And here we just get this beautiful, stunning scenery once again. Even though Pennsylvania does have bad control cities, they have really beautiful scenery here, like this one. And this is where 6 and 19 splits off from US Highway 322. And if you want to check out the rest of the US 322 video, it's in the link in the description below. And next mileage time we get Corey from 41 miles away. I didn't know that PennDOT was a fan of Boy Meets World. Oh, Corey is where US 6 is going. We're still going north towards Erie here. And we're also meeting US Highway 6N. And our next mileage time we get Erie as our primary once again from 18 miles away. I would follow this advice here because, oh boy, is there a lot of acorn shields. And right off the bat, we get our very first one here in the Erie area, and we're also meeting with Pennsylvania Highway 97. But at least we do get this one-liner here with just Erie from 14 miles away, because what else are you going to sign? And here we are meeting Interstate 90, and we can see that it's being signed for Erie and Buffalo. And we're also now meeting Pennsylvania 99, even though there is no keystone for it. So it looks like that PennDOT is not as strict as they are on their state/US/interstate highways. I mean, to be fair, we also have an NT 73 and Interstate 73, so I'll let this one slide. And then further up the road, we get an US 19 shield, but it's the Acorn shield. Wow. So we end US Highway 19, and we move on to, the places I'll go. So these are the places I'd visit if I ever was on more of US Highway 19. I'd love to visit St. Pete, then Tampa, then Chiefland, then Perry, Thomasville. Like I said, I'd love to visit the US 19 Church of Christ in Albany. And then after service on a Sunday, I'd love to visit Albany. And then Zebulon, I'm gonna revisit Atlanta. I love to visit places in western North Carolina along with eastern Tennessee, and love to visit Princeton, West Virginia, and revisit Beckley and Morgantown. And I love to visit all the places in Pennsylvania. So that ends in US Highway 719. Thank y'all so much for watching this long episode on US Highway 19 northbound. I hope you got to learn a little bit more about the highway, and I hope you enjoyed that little Kirby rant. I've actually had that circled on my calendar for a long time now. So with that, here are my next few highways. And if you have any requests for these upcoming highways, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to shout you out when these highways release. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the New England region for Thanksgiving next week.